All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where and when you are listening, watching. Welcome to Workday Reimagined. My name is Justin Williams. I'm the President and Chief Revenue Officer for Ikorio. I've been with Ikorio for almost 1 year now. Prior to that, I spent nearly the last 10 years at Workday as our Vice President for the customer team. Very excited to introduce our inaugural Workday Reimagined Workday podcast. And so to kick things off, we're going to do a quick round of intros, tell you a little bit about us. We're going to go into how this is generally going to flow, provide a little bit of insight into what we're seeing in the marketplace. We want to give y'all a chance to get to know us, and we were thinking, what's a good way to get to know us? And so with SCO right around the corner, we thought, how many SCOs have you been to? So from a Workday SCO, this is going to be my 10th. Excited to be in Chicago in early March. Looks like the weather is only going to be a little bit of snow, so excited about that. This is the first time we've recorded this podcast. This is not the first time we've recorded this podcast. We actually tried to do this before, and marketing took a look and said, you guys need to be a little bit more authentic. And so we've got no notes, we've got no scripts. We're going to go around the horn and see how this works. Hopefully it provides some value. Hopefully it provides you maybe an opportunity to laugh and break up the day as you're heading into SCO. Matt, how about a quick intro from you?
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate that, Justin. And, just trying to be authentic. I'm trying to put into words how fired up I am about the relaunch of this podcast here. And what immediately comes to mind is there was this one time there was donuts with grown-ups at my kids' elementary school. I don't know if you all are familiar with that. Basically, you go in and get donuts. And as I was there, I was walking out. They handed me a second donut on my way out. So that's how fired up I am to be here. Spoiler alert, that was this morning. So no better way to start the day than two glazed donuts and a juice box. But looking forward to the podcast. And Brandon, over to you.
Yeah. Wait, Matt, what do you do? What do you do here?
Oh, I probably should have said that to begin with, but I figured since I'm a household name with the Planning Pulse podcast, I could go unnoticed there. But I lead the adaptive planning practice for Ikorio and have been doing that for a long time here. Have been with Ikorio for about 7 years and spent just under a decade in finance and accounting before joining the Ikorio team. Brandon, over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. I wish I could top 2 donuts for breakfast this morning. I thought you were going to say you went to Donut Day and one of your tens of podcast followers recognized you in public. But I guess 2 donuts is better than that. So thank you, Brandon Britton. I am the lead of our AI and analytics practice. This will be my first Workday SCO. As I'll talk about a little bit later, our AI and analytics practice is pretty new to Ikorio. I'm certainly the newest to the Workday ecosystem here, so I'm super pumped. I do love Chicago. Not sure about Chicago first week of March, but it's going to be a great time. Love connecting with peers, and it's just going to be an awesome one. I love SCOs. I love the excitement, love the energy, and looking forward to it. Let's. You want me to hand it off to JB?
I'll hand it off to JB. If I had 2 donuts this morning, I would be asleep by now. Donuts is not the way I start the day, but it might be the thing that I sneak into the kitchen for after the kids go to bed, if there's any left over. Appreciate it, guys. I do think the more, authentic, unapologetically authentic version of this is going to be more my speed because I don't think I've ever been accused of being unauthentic, at least not in a long time. In terms of SKO, I don't know. I think this is my 5th or 6th SKO. I've been in the Workday ecosystem for 16 years, spent some time in delivery in the last decade in sales, pre-sales, but I didn't always attend SKO. So, it's been a little different experience for me. Out here in Texas, when we get a little drop of ice or one snowflake, the whole state shuts down. So I think I'm with everybody in terms of keeping an eye on the Chicago weather, but really excited to get out there. And specifically, under my new role here with Ikorio as the SVP of go-to-market strategy, always had a passion for hearing customers out, really listening to what their goals are and how we could align our solutions to helping them solve them. this year I really look forward to bringing that same mindset into SKO with that listen first mentality. I hear a lot about what's going on in the market. It's noisy. We see a lot of what's going on with customers' patience. It's down. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited about it. But I'll pause there and maybe pass it over to you, Lachlan, and keep us going.
Thanks, JV. So Eric Laughlin, full transparency, I am the reason we had to change the format of this because my run through was awful, which is weird because I talk a lot and people usually listen to what I say. So, from that standpoint, Eric Laughlin, I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. This will be my third SCO. I've been to a lot of risings, a whole lot of them, like, I don't know, 10 maybe. And I didn't go every year that I've been in the ecosystem. I actually started out as a customer. I bought as customer number 476. I am a recovering HR executive. I then went into consulting, and I was a delivery leader at another firm. And here at Acorio, I am the senior director responsible for post-production AMS revenue growth. So it's really good to be with you all. I have not had breakfast because I try to be less fat by doing intermittent fasting. And so I have not had a meal yet. But interesting fact, and this is a free fact for you, if you decide to let your daughters become figure skaters, just expect to have less money. Anyway, back to you, Justin.
Very good. Thanks, Eric. All right. So we're going to start with the basics here. So who is this podcast for? So whether you work at Workday, whether you are a Workday customer, whether you're a CFO, whether you're a CHRO, whether you're a Workday administrator, if you're a prospective Workday customer that is evaluating the platform or even considering it, the idea is that this podcast is going to be for you. We're going to have a number of different segments as we release podcasts, and we'll go through exactly what those are. You heard the Brandon mention the household name with Matt Harvison. Many of you have probably seen or heard the Planning Pulse podcast that he's done. That will still be an area that we cover here, in addition to a few other things. And so, as we kick off today, it's more about an intro, high level. We'll be talking a little bit about AI and analytics, given a lot of the changes that have been going on in the ecosystem. Also, importantly, everybody has seen the changes at Workday, right? At this time of year, there's a number of changes that happen internally, but at this point, there was some larger changes, obviously, with Anil stepping in at the helm, re-stepping in, let's say, which is really exciting. Really looking forward to SCO and the energy and the culture that brings. And so with that, our goal is to provide some valuable insights, and it's valuable insights based on what we're hearing. All of us spend a lot of time talking with various folks from Workday every single day. We talk with prospective clients at any phase of their Workday journey, whether they are evaluating for the first time, whether they're an existing customer. That could be an adaptive, financials, HCM, analytics customer at various phases of their journey. And we work with a number of different industries. Some of these podcasts will be talking about a specific industry or sub-industry that is leveraging Workday or wants to be using it better. And so the idea is that in these very brief podcasts that we can provide a break from your day to hear what we think is going on. Over the course of these podcasts too, we're going to be inviting folks from Workday to join us. And so if you're listening from Workday and you say, hey, I think I've got some value I could add in, just reach out to us. The idea is that this is going to be dynamic. It will be fluid. It's not going to be perfect. It's going to be us authentically. And so, JP, you mentioned, is it unauthentic? I think it's inauthentic. I'm not really sure. This was never my skill.
English is, I speak two languages, English and bad English. So I apologize in advance for anyone out there who's an English major. I do not know the answer, but unapologetically authentic is a term that I do like.
I like that. I like it. Well, good. Well, so, and we've all talked about SCO. Hopefully this gets out there and a few folks listen. I personally love SCO. SCO is one of my favorite things. JB, Brandon, and I were talking before, and JB, Rising is fantastic too. You get all the customers there. There's a ton of energy. You're talking about problems. You're talking about challenges. You're talking about outcomes you're looking to achieve. SCO is really fun because for me, right, and this is the first time I've been on the partner side of things at SCO. I was always, every other SCO I've been to has been, at Workday. And over the course of the time, I had the opportunity to work in the large enterprise organization, the medium enterprise organization. And it's the best time to get together. And so with that, I'm excited to see some old friends, a lot of folks who I stay very close and in touch with, but a lot of folks who I haven't talked to in a year or two. So I'm looking forward to reconnecting. I'm looking forward to seeing some of the kickoffs and what's coming down. I'm looking forward to what happens, once goes over. I think some of the best conversations, in the afternoon, evening, when you can get together with workmates, when you can get together with other partners. I think that's the other funny part too, is that we've all been in the ecosystem for so long. So many of our friends work at our direct competitors. But it's funny. I'm texting with probably 5 or 6 of them right now, and they know who they are. And I think some of the best part, some of the best part of it for me is being able to have a beer with, a direct competitor. But at the same time, we're all going through the same stuff. We're all on the battlefield together, and we compete in the battlefield. But outside of it, we still text one another and, hear about what's going on. And so with that, hopefully y'all enjoy this. Don't forget to like and subscribe and do all the things that podcast hosts say. And so with that, Matt, tell us a little bit about Planning Pulse and what our viewers, listeners, watchers should be expecting.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate that, Justin. Then, you said like and subscribe. I feel like you're taking some of the lines that I've been saying for quite some time here to my tens of followers, right, Brandon? So, no, one of the things that's really special about Workday Reimagined is we have the ability to go in and tap into AI and analytics and HCM and really get in the trenches with Eric as well. But I do want to reiterate that the Planning Pulse podcast is not going away. We've spent almost 2 years to the day building a strong community of tens of followers who always wanted to learn a little bit more about how complex adaptive topics can become practical and relevant, how they can roll them out at their organizations. We did mini series for workforce planning, for sales planning. We got industry specific with life sciences and financial services. We recently wrapped podcast series around ML forecast technology. We even did a podcast that was a Christmas episode that was a roundtable Mount Rushmore favorite features, which is just fun. We had fun on the Planning Pulse podcast. I'm looking forward to having fun in the Workday Reimagined podcast with this group here. This month's focus is going to be on AI and analytics, and it is there's no better way to kick off this series than by turning it over to Brandon Britton, head of AI and analytics at Ep1.1.
Yeah, I'm super pumped. So, like I mentioned earlier, I'm sort of the newbie here to the team. Hopefully I don't get hazed too hard at SCO, but um, the Workday ecosystem in the last 12 to 18 months has changed dramatically, right? So we were on a call earlier this week with some of the senior leaders, and they're now not even referring to themselves as an HCM financials platform. They're referring to themselves as an AI platform, which is a little terrifying, but also extremely exciting. They've made some enormous deliberate bets with huge acquisitions of like Sana Labs and Flowise, and they announced their open data platform called Data Cloud with partnerships with huge names like Snowflake and Databricks, Salesforce, Google, right? So it is a massive, massive shift in their strategy in their go-to-market. So we at Ep1.1 made this same kind of deliberate bet, right? We brought over our AI and analytics practice. We're growing and building that muscle and building that expertise. It is kind of a wild time right now in the market and with SaaS and all of the AI features, and it's frankly a little confusing. It's noisy, right? What we see is a lot of customers with a lot of successful implementations, but not a lot of connective tissue around those implementations, right? What to do with the data, how to make AI a force multiplier for their business, right? So that's where we come into play. We call it Workday Intelligence. It is a bit of a philosophy. It's a culture. It's a lifestyle, right? It's not a feature. It's not a SKU. This is how do you connect all the dots to make your Workday data and your Workday work for you in your business. So I'm super excited to bring not only deployment stories, but customer stories too, right? What's working, what's not, what's still maturing, right? Sort of a best practices, but helping cut through some of the noise, cut through some of that fluff out there, and bring some real life value and some real life successes and help everyone at Workday and help our customers learn a little bit. So I'm super excited. I will, I guess maybe hand it off to Eric. He can tell us a little bit more about, what he's going to do and how the delivery perspective matters.
Thanks, Brandon.
Eric, before you go, I need one more mention of AI or analytics to fill out my buzzword bingo card before I even arrive at SKO. I just need one or two more hits.
Can you spell AI?
Not if I don't have an alphabet in front of me.
That's awesome. So I'll try to work AI into my presentation here as well, there, JB, for your sake, my friend. So in the trenches, what we're going to do in the trenches is span the gap between what the strategy promised and what's actually happened day to day. So if you're in a new implementation, if you're venturing into the space of buying Workday new, this portion of the podcast can be very beneficial to you. If you're post go live, this is going to be great for you. There are things that we have seen with our expertise and our experience over the years that are pitfalls, that are areas that people just fall down on during implementations. Typically, it's the team on the customer side that struggles for whatever reason, whether it be a data pool or not understanding the nomenclature, or frankly, just not having time between day jobs and implementation. So we have learned how to help clients make sure that they navigate that well. We're looking at practical execution, and from an after go live standpoint, from an AMS approach, that post-production support, we're looking to have folks watch this podcast for HR and finance teams. We're looking for HRIS teams and especially Workday folks, customer base, CSM, CSLs, and AEs as well. So we're going to tackle questions. We're going to go after things like, we turned it on. Why isn't it working the way we want it to? Or why aren't people going into Workday? Why are we not seeing the kind of responses that we expected to see? We're going to cover that. We're going to, look at what leadership is looking for, as Brandon mentioned. And for you, JB, AI, right? Where do we start? How do we do this? How do we advance as other competitors of ours are? How do we advance? We're going to help you with that. If you've been live for a long time and things are bumpy or your tenant has gotten stale, we can assist you with that as well. So we're going to be diving into those things like security model cleanup or data governance discipline, release management rigor. We're going to help with that as well. So we're going to dabble into several of these things while we're in the trenches. So the basic format will be this: what's the problem? Why does it happen? How can we fix it? And then actually create a positive impact for you and your organization. So that's what In the Trenches is.
I love that, Eric. And I think I got 2 bingos there. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Of all the content that I think will be, available on this podcast and useful to, the market as a whole, if Matt Harvison or Brandon Britton, all jokes aside, if they're talking, I'm getting smarter. But what I'm most excited about is hearing from the customers. That really is part of. I mentioned earlier in my intro that listening is an important part of my role, but it's really the best way that we learn. We learn what we need to understand about the market, what we of course need to understand about customers, what they're thinking. Also understanding what matters to partners, right? So, in terms of the market, I mentioned it's more mature. The platform is broader, right? All these introductions of AI and acquisitions. The partner ecosystem is also crowded, right? Justin, I'm sure at SKO #1, the partner landscape looked materially different than it's going to look here next week. With that maturity comes a lot more scrutiny, right? So we're listening to that. We're listening to a lot of our customers and prospects who have experience with the deployment. Maybe it's Workday, maybe it's another software, but they have a lot of noticeable scar tissue that they are carrying with them, right? Missed timelines, overly customized systems, project fatigue inside their organization. And they're asking sharper questions. So again, listening is what's kind of at the forefront for me. But customers want to know, how realistic is my timeline, right? I'm hearing this new methodology and this new timeline is achievable. What is that going to mean for me? I think one of the ones that we most often get, if not always, is who's actually going to be doing the work, who's actually going to be delivering our project, right? I want to meet the team that's going to be working with me day by day. And then we have the customers, right? They're not just buying the software anymore; they're buying risk reduction. And how can we change what we are doing, how we're thinking, how we're scoping, so that we can really address those areas for clients and prospects in a way that is more predictable. We want to provide more transparency. They want, Acorio, I think I take a lot of pride in seeing that we are the partner who is going to lean into or not shy away from saying the hard thing up front, right? If that's pressure testing a timeline, absolutely. Let's bring those conversations to the forefront. Everything that we want to focus on moving forward is really keeping the customer at the forefront of their success. From a partner perspective, one of the things that I think a lot about is competition. Justin mentioned it. I've worked for, I think, 9 partners in my 16 years. Some of my best friends work at other firms, and it's always something that is super interesting to me and something that I keep a really close pulse on. But why are we winning? Why are we losing in certain markets at different partners? And what it's starting to boil down to is it's not really that it's the competition that is the biggest risk. It's pretending that the market hasn't evolved, right? So if you're stuck in the early days of Workday deployment thinking and how to bring customers live successfully, if you haven't had the opportunity to mature that thinking and that message alongside Workday as they have drastically matured, you're going to keep falling behind. And I think that one of the things we're doing at Acorio is really taking a hard, honest look at those factors internally and making the adjustments that are needed to just make sure that we continue to rise to the occasion and to rise to this moment. So I'll kind of get off my soapbox here, but this moment that sits in front of us is what I'm calling the standards moment. We really have an opportunity to rise to the occasion, continue to lean into our credibility and earn additional credibility. Workday is an ever-growing platform, an ever-growing product, and if your standards are not rising alongside Workday's, then you're simply going to be left behind. So, it's an exciting year for me. A lot more to unpack in terms of what we're seeing and hearing in the market. But maybe I'll pause there and Justin see if we have any more time to get anything else, or if I sucked all the air out of it.
I think
that was only, I think, 3 AIs. Those are rookie numbers. You got to pump those numbers up. Right?
It's my bingo card is full. I didn't want to give anyone else an advantage. I feel like I have already won this round. So
I'm concerned about the number of movie quotes that are going to be dropped over the course of this series. One of the things I'm going to round us out here. So one of the things, JB, that you mentioned is customers, and one of my favorite things about Workday since I joined was the Workday community. And it's something that I'm expecting a lot from the Workday community this year. I think about Rising, and some of the best sessions that I always sit on are when a Workday customer sits in with either a partner or someone from Workday and talks about a very specific use case or outcome that they achieved with Workday, with another software, right, in partnership. And so we see the same thing at regional user groups. We've seen a lot of momentum in the user groups recently as well. So if you're a customer and you've done something great that you want to share, let us know. We want to have you on, right? We can use this as our own mini Rising, mini regional user group so that you can help other folks that have been going through the same thing. And I think about the old story with Dave and Anil when they were starting Workday, right, at the diner and Truckee. And one of the things that Dave loved about PeopleSoft and Anil loved about PeopleSoft was the community aspect of it. But when they would go to the regional user groups, you would have to ask someone, say, hey, which version of PeopleSoft are you on? You go on 8.9? Like, no, I'm on 9.2. Thanks, but no thanks. I can't talk with you, right? As everybody in the Workday ecosystem knows, Workday has one version. And so with that, right, it's how do we make everybody better? How can we help improve each other? I don't care if you're another partner, that it's a direct competitor. If you've got something to say and you guys want to join us, come on and join us. We're going to have folks like Ariel Upshaw, our director of financials, join. We're going to have Andrea King, which if you've been in the ecosystem, you've worked with Andrea before, an unbelievable asset at helping customers make an educated and informed decisions. And so with that, as I round us out, go ahead, like, subscribe, share, follow, do all of the fun things. Reach out to us on LinkedIn. You know where to find us. If you're going to be at SCO, we'd love to meet in person. I hope you have a great rest of the week. Thank you all for joining, and we will talk with you soon.
Take care.